Greetings and welcome to another impressions video here at Words About Games, and today we're going to be looking at Dark Nights with Poe and Munro. Dark Nights with Poe and Munro is a comedy mystery FMV game starring local spooky radio show hosts Poe and Munro, who over the course of 6 in-game episodes confront the seemingly supernatural weirdness that surrounds them, all while trying to keep their show on the air and trying not to get themselves killed or broken up in the process. I love the FMV games revival that's been steadily gaining traction over the past few years, with games like Her Story and The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, the latter of which was created by the developers of this game, standing out as highlights of the gaming calendar in recent years. I love their strangeness, their inventiveness, and their ability and willingness to tell their stories in really creative ways that you could probably only accomplish in a video game. Or a choose-your-own-adventure book, I guess, though their impact would be dulled somewhat without their imagery and the actors' performances. They are quite difficult to make review videos about, however. Where more traditional games are made up of a multitude of disparate parts, FMV games are usually very light on gameplay mechanics, relying instead almost exclusively on their writing, acting, and sound design to immerse you in them. Plus, it's fair to say that Devaki Studios makes weird games, from the stories they tell to the way they tell them. They embrace a very particular brand of strangeness. It's what originally drew my attention to them with the brilliant infectious madness of Dr. Decker. Luckily, everything that made me fall in love with Dr. Decker, the game, not the character, is present in the excellent Dark Nights with Poe and Munro. It all starts with the titular characters, Poe, played by Clemence Coring, and Munro, played by Lena Cunard. Coring plays Poe perfectly, his performance being exactly as over-the-top as you'd expect as the host of a spooky nighttime radio show. And I would know, I used to listen to them a lot when I was younger. And he's excellently balanced out by Munro, whose sunny disposition and general cheeriness complement Poe's theatrics perfectly. When they're together, which is for the majority of the game, their banter is wonderful. As for the rest of the cast and the broader narrative, which follows Poe and Munro through 6 different episodes as they're terrorized by a stalker, hunting werewolves, or living past lives, it's exactly as cheesy as it needs to be. Most of the episodes are fairly brief, perhaps a little too short for them to really have an impact, but it's a blast following the 2 hapless main characters around the seriously strange town of August as they continuously brush up against the weird and possibly supernatural. I never felt compelled to unravel any particular mystery, but the journey was more than enough to keep me hooked in. Some of the writing and interactions with other characters is a bit clunkier than it probably should be, and there are moments when characters will talk as if they've met, or as if you've made different choices in previous scenes. But by and large, I was happy to keep clicking my way through each episode, just to see what Poe and Munro were going to be getting up to next. And while the game is short, there's bags of replayability built in, thanks to the choices you'll be making along the way. At key moments during each episode, you'll be asked to make a choice. Some of them seem fairly benign, choosing whether to drink a glass of water or a cup of coffee, for example, where others have a more obvious impact on the direction of the narrative. After each episode, where I'm presented with the key choices I'd made and how they stacked up against others who made them, I was always left really curious to see how things could have been different if I'd taken a different path. You make choices by clicking on Hotspots during these moments. A clickable button will appear on different things in a scene, and you need to select one, or not, to move the story on before the timer runs down. You'll need to click on some bed sheets or another character, for example. It's a system that works well enough, though the indicators can occasionally blend in with whatever object they're highlighting. That can make it difficult to see what your choices actually are, particularly as the timers can sometimes be quite short. There's an option in the settings to turn off the timers completely and give you an infinite amount of time to make a selection, and it's an option I'd actually recommend you use. Dark Nights with Poe and Munro is a campy, cheesy, supernatural mystery with a ton of character, heart, and a quirky sense of humour. It's powered by 2 great performances from Clemence Coring and Lena Cunard as its titular characters, whose banter is a particular highlight throughout the 6 episodes that are included in this game. If you're a fan of FMV games, creative supernatural games, or Devaki's previous output, then Dark Nights with Poe and Munro is an easy recommendation, as are their previous games, if you haven't played them before. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, consider sticking around here at Words About Games. Our content includes review impressions of games big and small, a weekly podcast dedicated to discussing the happenings in and around the games industry, weekly opinion videos, reactions, debate-driven top 5 and top 10 lists, a regular Hall of Fame series where we discuss our favourite games, and indie game spotlights. We also stream every Friday and Saturday at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. Most importantly, have a brilliant day.